What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Mikase Sukase, and I am your host, Nico House. And to those who are already donating to our One Follow $1 campaign, I do want to thank you all. You have helped the show grow immensely, and I can't really express the gratitude that I have for all the help that you have given. But for those who have not donated to our One Follow $1 campaign, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/MikaseSukasa and donating simply. It's $1. That's it. Not even a double cheeseburger nowadays. It's crazy how far $1 used to be able to take you, right? But at least you can get some good quality journalism out of it. So I also want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, the credit surgeons. If you want your credit repaired, not later, but sooner, then you definitely want to go to thecreditsurgeons.com. And check them out. You can set up an appointment directly through their website. Once again, that is thecreditsurgeons.com. Today, I wanted to talk to you all about, the same conversation that we've been having for the last, it seems like about a week now, right? But of course, this is a different angle. There's a couple of different angles. One, Obama was problematic as a president. We can talk about anything from the foreign policies, mostly how, just the deaths of African American men and women went up exponentially under Obama, and we could attribute that to a lot of things. But what we cannot exonerate is the lack of effort on his behalf to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Now, I understand that it's, quote unquote, mostly a state's issue, but this is a national issue. That the police killings were a national issue, and he didn't do anything to stop it. In fact, he helped propagate it. He reinforced the police state. We can talk about the bailout. Yeah, the bailout did save Michigan's economy. It did save hundreds of thousands of jobs in that area with the bailout. However, he did not punish those responsible. In fact, he let them walk off scot-free, and the taxpayers were once again forced to pay for something that we had little to nothing to do with, outside of believing that our politicians want to work into our favor, which, as you know, generally isn't the case, especially as of late. Now, Obama was apparently into some things that were a little bit more serious and behind the scenes. During the election, it was often considered that Obama was purposely overlooking the severity of Hillary Clinton's email scandal. He was purposely overlooking what it had meant as far as either her incompetence or her total disregard for any type of rule of law or even the security of those who were involved in the conversations of her emails. As we do know that her email was directly responsible for a couple of spies overseas, American spies, dying because she revealed their true identity. I think that the fact that Obama thought that she was competent enough to be president, or it was even deserving to be president, after that type of slip up, her audacity to even think that it's okay to put a top secret, a server that should have been encrypted, into her damn office, her bathroom, Why would you think why would you endorse her for the presidency? As a matter of fact, why wouldn't you campaign for the person who's not going to allow something crazy like that to happen? And I think it was a combination of Obama's personal incompetence, but I also think it's a matter of the fact that a lot of people agree on, which is that he did not have any control over his presidency, and he did not want that many people to figure that out. But it was clear, especially after WikiLeaks kind of threw out how many people were picked by, not by Obama, but by corporations. And they picked a bunch of corporate stooges to be a part of his administration. But what I'm speaking of right now is some text messages that were exchanged between our favorite couple, our new favorite FBI couple, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Lisa Page and Peter Strzok were having a conversation that involved one President Obama, who said he wanted to be kept up to date with everything that was going on with the Hillary Clinton investigation. He said he wanted to know everything, quote unquote. Now understand something, people. If this was Donald Trump, oh God. Donald Trump asked what was going on in his own investigation, and they were like, he's obstructing justice. He's obstructing. Once again, I am also one of those people who don't believe that simply because James Comey was fired, that Donald Trump obstructed justice. I feel like if a person was not doing his job, which James Comey clearly was not doing his job, and anyone with any type of objectivity should agree. Everything that's come out about James Comey, it's either a matter of incompetence or deliberate corruption. I tend to lean towards the latter. But if we know everything that we know now about James Comey, anybody else in any scenario, in any job would have lost theirs. They would have been instantly fired if they would have known how corrupt the leader of an objective institution is. Or at least there would have been an investigation. But with James Comey, there was none of that. It seemed to be the total opposite of that. The Democratic Party, who used to just trash James Comey whenever he wouldn't do what they asked, all of a sudden they love him. All of a sudden they were cheering for him. I mean, think about it. What's new, right? That's how the Democratic Party does. It did the same thing to Julian Assange with WikiLeaks. It was, oh yeah, Julian Assange is a hero. Until he starts revealing things about the Democratic Party, then all of a sudden it's fuck that guy Julian Assange. What the hell? He's a Russian. Everybody who doesn't agree with me is a Russian. The damacity knows no bounds. The truth is, people, the moment that Loretta Lynch met with Bill Clinton on that tarmac, lied to the American public and the media straight to their faces. Bill Clinton lied to the American public and the media straight to their faces. Hillary Clinton lied to the American public and the media straight to their faces. We're supposed to believe that a president of the United States of America has no idea why his attorney general is meeting with someone whose family is currently under federal investigation? You're really going to believe that? There's no way in hell that any president, I don't give a shit how incompetent they are, there's no way that Obama was not made aware that Loretta Lynch, at the time when she was Attorney General, was going to meet with Bill Clinton. Once again, I would not have put it past Barack Obama to have facilitated that meeting, to have really demanded it, because he had let it get so out of control with Hillary Clinton and her little server issues. It should not be really all that surprising to us that he was going to go out of his way to make sure that his name was not going to be dragged through the dirt in the same fashion that Hillary Clinton's was dragged through, or was currently at the time being dragged through. Now, once again, whether or not Obama is a nefarious person, he's an interesting person, I will say that. I haven't really figured out Obama. His actions, with a lot of people, you can usually figure out who they are by looking at who they were before they gained power. Now, Obama was a human rights attorney. He didn't make a lot of money, people. He literally fought for civil rights and human rights. That was his bread and butter. In fact, it was actually his wife, Michelle, who was the public servant, if you will. She was the one who was working with all the politicians in the city of Chicago, worked for the governor of Illinois even. But yet, when Obama took office, clearly we can see the transition. Of course, I also assume that he was kind of jaded. He was definitely jaded by the Tea Party and how they treated him, and how it was clear that they were only, because the Tea Party, although it was mostly Republicans, it was mostly libertarians. The Tea Party itself it was comprised of all party members. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and not only just at the national level, but at the local level as well. And they essentially were created by all accounts. It was created just to combat Barack Obama. because he was black. So I can understand. I definitely can understand why he would be jaded. However, like I said, his actions are still a little suspicious. And it doesn't really follow the normal behavioral patterns of most people. Most people, who they were before, kind of gives you a good indication, right? So we knew that Trump would not just all of a sudden stop being selfish, stop being about himself, stop taking vacations, stop doing stupid things, stop saying stupid things simply because he was the president of the United States of America. No way in hell. People are like, he's only saying that because he's running for office. Nah. When you talk like that to get your support, you're going to have to continue to speak that way to keep them. That's basic marketing. That's common sense. You can't just switch up who you are once you get office, because how are you going to maintain the mandate of and the influence that you need to get things done? So that's what we knew who Hillary Clinton was going to be, because she showed us who she was before she became a politician. She showed us who she was when her husband was a politician. She showed us who she was after she became a politician. She showed us who she was when she became Secretary of State. And she damn sure showed us who she was when she was running for office. So the why we would think that would change is beyond me. So that's what makes Barack Obama a very unique character, is that his behavior, for all intents and purposes, did change diametrically. But I don't think that absolves him. I think that that he should be giving us answers. Why are you meddling in the FBI's investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails? Why did you even allow her to have that server there to begin with? Why was Loretta Lynch allowed to meet with Bill Clinton on the tarmac, which is obviously a serious conflict of interest? And why did you endorse her, knowing all this stuff would eventually come out, unless you really truly thought that it wouldn't come out? And maybe that's why you were endorsing her, because you were hoping that if she took over, then the Democrats would take over the House, the Democrats would take over the Senate, they would have control of the White House, and you would never have to face the music for this so close to your resignation. But it's interesting, and I think what's even more interesting is what we found out the other day, or yesterday, I should say. I want to thank the brilliant research of Lee Stranahan. If you have not listened to him, definitely go check out his YouTube channel and check out his Twitter page. Him and Garland Nixon have a show that I was actually on yesterday called Fault Lines. Great show. Garland Nixon is a progressive Democrat. Lee Stranahan he used to be a Democrat, but now he's a conservative Republican. They pretty much agree on everything, which is kind of funny, but lets you really know how much similarities we have. But definitely go check them out. But Stranahan actually broke yesterday that there was an article in the Washington Post that talked about Peter Strzok, who was in case you don't know, he was the centerpiece for the memo, for the Nunes memo. Not the GOP memo, but the Nunes memo. Propaganda, right? Anyway. So, Carter Page. Why did I say Peter Strzok? Well, y'all let me say that. Carter Page. Got me looking crazy. Carter Page was the centerpiece for the Nunes memo. And they said that they were stalking him. That's what I call it. I would call it surveillance if it wasn't like weird. You read up on somebody for 3 years, and I'm going to explain to you why I consider it stalking, and not surveillance. Carter Page worked for the FBI in 2013. In fact, the only reason they have any evidence of Carter Page actually talking directly with Russia is because they sent him to do it. You want to know how they got the evidence from when they sent him to do it? They wiretapped him. You want to know how they got the wiretap? Because he was the one carrying the wire. He volunteered to be an informant. It had to do with the economy back then, but this was in 2013. Let me tell you what's so interesting about that. The Washington Post was the one who wrote that original article. They were the ones who published it originally. But what's funnier is the fact that the Washington Post is also the one who came out very recently. What was the date on this article? February the 2nd, right? where it said that the controversial GOP memo alleges that the warrant the FBI obtained in October 2016 to track Page relied on unvetted information provided by a former British spy working for the Democrats. Really weird that they don't want to talk about Christopher Steele. It's really weird they don't want to mention his name, right? Because if you go look up Christopher Steele, you'll find out he is totally biased, has a complete and total conflict of interest, and is totally untrustworthy as well. They will find, then you'd happen to find out that he worked on that memo, or that dossier, excuse me, because of Fusion GPS. You would also happen to find out that he lied to the FBI, said that he had not talked to any other media sources. That's why why Steele stopped being an informant for the FBI. He got fired from the job. Now, it would also suit everybody to know that he hated Donald Trump, which probably doesn't help either. Granted, like I said, it's one thing to hate Donald Trump. I don't like Donald Trump. I'm going to report objectively on him, not because I don't like him, but I don't have any personal animus towards him like a lot of these people do. Nor do I have any financial or political interest tied within the success of Donald Trump or the failure of Donald Trump like these people did. They also don't want you to find out that Fusion GPS paid them because the Democrats paid them. They also don't want you to find out that James Comey himself said that the memo was unverified and salacious. They also don't want you to Google and find out that Fusion GPS is currently being sued by BuzzFeed and other people. Excuse me. BuzzFeed is currently being sued because of the things that Fusion GPS has done, and they published it, that Trump dossier. They're not the only ones being sued, nor are they the only ones being investigated. So they don't want to tell you all that. That's why they don't mention his name. They want to be vague. They want to focus this on the quote-unquote GOP memo. Once again, the moment that they called the GOP memo, you should have known it was propaganda. But they said, while the Republicans presented the memo as evidence that investigation was tainted, the document indicates that law enforcement officials had sufficient worries about the energy consultant that they felt it was necessary to continue to monitor him. Page had been on the radar of the FBI at least as far back as 2013, when the Bureau caught suspected Russian spies discussing their attempts to recruit him, as in Page. Even after being interviewed by the investigators in that case, Page continued to have extensive contacts with the Russians, including trips to Moscow in July and December. Now, people, do you want to know why he had extensive contacts with the Russians? He had extensive contacts with the Russians because he was an FBI spy. He was an FBI informant, and he actually volunteered for that job. Once again, he was tapped because he was asked to. He was questioned and interviewed. And you notice what they say, even after being interviewed, not investigated, but interviewed by investigators. And he was interviewed by investigators because he had to brief them. You see what I'm saying, people? And the person, or the people who first reported this, was the Washington Post. They are the reason that we even know that Carter Page worked for the FBI. How ironic is that? Once again, making it perfectly clear that the Washington Post has no intention on being honest, no intention on playing unbiased. They're going to deceive constantly. Even after, it doesn't matter for them that you can go back and dig into their files and find something that they don't want you to find, because that's what propaganda does. Propaganda makes us have a very short memory, and it uses fear-mongering. Uses fear-mongering to control the masses. And Washington Post has been, they're up there, right up there with the New York Times as far as that's concerned. I'm curious to know what you all think about this, because, well, I'm like taken aback. We better see some goddamn accountability. That's all I'm saying, people. We better start seeing some serious accountability on behalf of the American people, on the behalf of those who have entrusted in authority into the FBI, who has entrusted authority into their executive office, their commander-in-chief, entrusted authority into the legislative branch, while you have a good number of establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans working to undermine our institutions right in front of us, thinking that they would no longer have to face any type of punishment. They're thinking that there would never be another Nixon scandal because they could hide it better than anyone else. Clearly, that's not the case. Clearly, someone is going to have to answer the bell, because Although I do believe that there are a good amount of establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans that will side with the Democrats and vice versa. I do believe that there is a lot of good people who want to see justice served and believe in seeing justice served. Believe it or not, I actually think that Trey Gowdy is probably one of them. I think that I don't know if y'all know this, but he's just been given top secret clearance through an executive order by Donald Trump. I'm going to see, give me a second. I'm going to see if I can find that. Let's see if I can find that right now. Let's see. But I can't remember when it happened. But a lot of people think that Trey Gowdy and Donald Trump are not getting along all that well right now. But apparently it was premised on the fact that here's something interesting. This was not even known or even talked about, but Trey, and this is the article from business-to-businesscommunity.com, but it was repost. This is from November 23rd, 2017. Trey Gowdy being made the most powerful man on Capitol Hill by Donald Trump is fake news. So they're saying that one of the most difficult parts of Trey Gowdy's job as a congressional inquisitor is security clearance. So they were using the premise that because when he was trying to investigate Hillary Clinton, she just kept saying, "Oh, it's a matter of national security. It's a matter of national security." I know that he had been given a lot of power, but I don't know if they gave him like total executive overreach. But that'd be interesting. Interestingly enough, the Washington Post actually said that he's been given the House oversight gavel. In other words, Representative Trey Gowdy secured one of the Congress's most powerful investigative posts last week, but remains unclear if he'll use it to investigate President Trump. Why is that the first thing they're talking about? Right? It's so crazy. They'll question the Republicans' conviction in investigating something they feel should be investigated. However, if we question the convictions of those who have clear, set in stone conflict of interest, concretorialized, cemented conflict of interest, we're Russia bots. Let me continue. He was voted in as chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee on Tuesday. Poses nearly boundless jurisdictions to probe the executive office misdeeds and abuses. Okay, that's really weird. See, this is why you always got to find multiple sources, because that last source that we just read, they said that Trey Gowdy did not have that power and that it was fake news. However, this is the Washington Post, and the Washington Post is saying that is not fake news at all. He has boundless jurisdiction to probe the executive office. Seems to me to be the opposite of fake news. It seems like this is... You know what? For those of you who've been listening and watching the QAnon, I'm actually kind of curious as to how accurate he is about Trey Gowdy providing a lot of information that we otherwise would not have had. Because I never even put two and two together, I guess, until maybe last night and this morning about how much power Trey Gowdy had and why he was playing the field. I know he said he's retiring from politics. He's not going to seek re-election. But for those of you who don't know, I think that, I don't know if I said it here, but I know I definitely said it on YouTube, and I made a post about it. I think that Trey Gowdy is going for that executive branch. In other words, I think he's going for AG or U.S. attorney. Now, on the other side of that fence, do not be surprised if Trey Gowdy ends up becoming a Supreme Court justice. Now, I'm not a fan of everything Trey Gowdy has done. However, I am a fan of his objectivity when it comes to enforcing laws. Now, I'm not like, people will get freaked out because they're like, what about liberal this, liberal that, progressive this? What about, we're not really right now. Most of our battles are being fought the battles of the people are being fought at our state and local levels. Our huge battles, the national battles right now, are being fought in Mount Olympus. That's what it seems like, right? Because it's like a battle of the gods. We have no way of touching them. We just have to hope that there's enough good, enough objectivity, enough people in power who seek justice to get the job done while we handle our business at the local levels and the state levels. I think Trey Gowdy is actually one of those people. I think he was legitimately concerned about Benghazi. I think he was legitimately concerned about the Clinton email scandal because of what it meant. Lives were lost, and people keep taking that lightly. So I think that I would trust Trey Gowdy to investigate the FBI more than I would trust most people. I think that him playing the middle of the ground with the memo and the investigation in general, he has to. He does not want to appear to look like he is not being critical enough of the administration, nor can he appear to look like he is being too critical of Robert Mueller. He has to play the field, and I think that overall Trey Gowdy will do a good job. And I'm curious to see what he'll do after he retires. When I say retires, I'm putting up quotations, but y'all can't see them. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear your thoughts and your comments once again. Donate to that one follow $1 campaign at www.patreon.com/mikasesukasa. And also, make sure you join me on Steemit. If you have a Steemit, you can go to steemit.com/@NicoHouse. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, find your balance. Peace.